Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company at Watches and Wonders 2025. We're here at Hautlence, and we are talking about watches, the likes of which you have never seen in your life. These things are literally crazy, and I've seen it all. Cédric, please, take me through the progression from 1947 to 1985, and then we'll jump to contemporary. These are two very nostalgic watches. I'm going to just play favorites. The Retrovision 47 is my favorite watch at the show. Let's start there. Take me through what this is.
So the intention behind those pieces is really to have a talking piece, and retro always, it's already in the name, we are inspired by the past. And what is lovely about this piece, it was created in a seminar. So we have an annual seminar with all the Moser team, all the Hautlence team, and that was created then. And that shows how open we are of internal ideas, because it was a pitch of one of the groups, and they made that very awesome watch. And you have here the tourbillon, where the speakers are, because I don't know if you fall asleep with a tourbillon, but it's very noisy.
You can hear them in a quiet room, that's a fact.
Yeah, and so we thought it would be fun to let it look like a speaker. And then you have like an unusual way of telling time for us, but the usual way with normal hands, like the classical way on the right side. Yeah.
So this is a really cool watch, guys. 10 pieces to be made. It has a titanium case that's painted to look like vintage Bakelite. All of this is based off a 1947 radio model called the 5A5 that was made in Chicago in the United States. So you've got what looks like Bakelite, but is actually a hand-painted case in titanium. 10 to be made. It's about 39.2 millimeters, one could say, in height, and then it's about, I would say probably about 44.4 millimeters wide. The watch is only about 12 millimeters thick too, so it's really easy to wear. Inside, they're drawing some engineering muscle from their sister company, Moser. You've got an automatic winding flying tourbillon with a 3-day power reserve, and the tourbillon is hidden behind the grille, just like Cédric was saying before. We've got the aesthetic of a radio, but that's actually where the hands for the hours and the minutes are located. And then all of this on what can only be described as sort of a candy red or fluor red strap. This is a really striking combination of colors, textures, tones, and it's not as big as it probably looks online. I'm going to put it on my wrist right now, and as I do so, maybe begin deconstructing the Retrovision 85 to show people how that watch works.
Yeah, so maybe let's say where the idea came from, because it's a watch that was born due to a toy watch from the 80s. So again, Retrovision 85, and we got a lot of response from a lot of our customers sending us pictures of their old watches, which they bought when they were teenagers. It was a digital watch in plastic, and we thought it would be fun to create it in high watchmaking, and that's the result. So you can wear it like this, or if you're at home, you can play around a little bit with it and just bring it out. And, oops, sorry. And then you have that little guy.
And it is a transformer. That's lowercase t transformer. We don't want to get sued there.
Yeah.
How cool is this? And then you've got another sort of, I think you call it a synergy with Moser, with the use of the Endeavor Flying Hours, Wandering Hours display on the front, automatic winding on the back. You can see again we've got a 72-hour power reserve via automatic winding. I believe a Paul-based bidirectional winding system. This is where Hautlence is really sort of out-Mosering Moser at the moment, because this seems like the kind of thing that Moser used to do at SIHH every year. But unlike the Moser, I guess you could call them novelty watches that were sort of gags, this is available to buy. You can own this.
Exactly. We're going to make 8 pieces. It's very successful already. We got a lot of brand awareness through that piece, and look at the colors. Like, that purple just hits you.
Purple is a very 80s color. I think it's coming back. I think it's like the next big thing in dials, but that's a very 80s color for an 80s robot.
Yeah.
So whether you were a fan of Transformers back in the day, or you had an Omnibot rolling around your house, if you pine for the robots of the 80s, not the kind that are going to replace us and take every job these days, but you've got that kind of 80s robot right here. And then you've got a little dock that is associated with it, and you can see right inside it says Retrovision 85 in a lovely nostalgic sort of font. Everything about this is designed to be really, really cool. You've got the plinth on which he stands, the robot watch himself, and then this external platform that has a quick release system so that you can pop it right off. And then there's even a little bit of an 80s pattern, and this, I imagine, is designed to echo those plastic watches from the 80s.
Exactly. It's rubber.
It's molded to resemble those sort of like toy watches from the 80s. And I guess you could say this is sort of a toy, but a toy for big boys and girls. So let's jump to something that is now a purely contemporary vision of Hautlence. Tell me a little bit about what we've got here.
So it's a red linear. It's the third one of the series. You have the flying tourbillon, which reminds you of the seconds. You have the beautiful minute indicator, which is circular, and it's not a retrograde. But what is retrograde is the linear, and there's only one way to go. So you can only go forward.
Now I think this is the most like, if you were familiar with the Hautlence brand back in the 2000s, Hautlence was formed by Guillaume Tatou back in 2004, and the watch was initially an iconic form watch. So they worked heavily with rectangular shapes, jump hours, and retrogrades, and that's really what defined the brand. So when people who are into Hautlence 15, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, think about the brand, they often think about something that's more like this than, say, something like this. So if you are an Hautlence traditionalist and you want to continue the journey, this is probably the point of departure. Once again, we've got a Moser-based 3-day automatic winding system on the back, so it's a very convenient thing to wear. And because it's effectively a lugless watch with straps that protrude straight from the end of the case, it's actually a pretty easy thing to wear. Don't be deceived by the listed measurements. This is a watch that's going to wear really compact, and you can see, in fact, the very similarly shaped Retrovision 47 does wear compact and short across the wrist. Really cool watches. Can you tell me a little bit about their availability?
So we're gonna limit it to 28 because the logo is the eternity sign where there's a 2 and an 8 in it. So all our pieces are 28 or like special pieces 8. And availability should be end of this year. They will be available, the first purchase. And very excited that they get launched to the market.
Also, I want to make it clear that this is an all-around sports watch. This is a 100-meter water-resistant rated timepiece with luminescence, automatic winding. It's not a tool watch in the sense that it's not specifically for racing or driving or engineers, but it's very much a sports watch. So if you want one watch that can do it all, this is definitely an instance of that. Could you give us a brief overview of the watch on your wrist, though? Because I know it came out over a year ago, but for a lot of folks, it's the first time they're going to see the sphere. Let's just quickly explain this and just explain to our viewers how this watch works.
So I think this is one of our most important pieces, is the sphere. So we have here a minute indicator, which goes from 0 to 60.
And it's a retrograde.
Exactly. And then we have here an hour indicator, which is a sphere. When you turn it to 60, the sphere will go in motion and will turn 1.5 times around itself. I think it's a spectacular piece. When you show it to people, salespeople, clients, there's always a smile coming up. And for us at the fair, I feel time a little bit better because it reminds you every hour that an hour just passed.
Excellent. So yeah, definitely the sphere, a really cool watch on a lot of levels. It's kind of a bewitching thing to see this sphere, which is quite literally a ball, turn in more than one axis to display the different hours. It's a micro-mechanical marvel, and you can see it's very different in design and engineering from a Moser. So this one's more of a standalone type of engineering execution, but it's very Hautlence, and it's the kind of watch that I think made this one of the hottest brands of the 2000s and early 2010s, and this is sort of, for those traditionalists who love the brand, a return to form. For those like myself who are a little bit crazier, it's great to look back, but also to step forward, and they can do both. So, Cédric, thank you so much. I really appreciate this.